Sanders fans, buckle up because Shedeur just turned Brown's training camp into a battlefield. Flacco's rattled, Pickett's injured, Gabriel's hanging on, and this quarterback room might not survive the war that's coming.
What have you've been out at training camp quite a bit. What have you seen relative to the quarterbacks? How do you think this quarterback thing lays out?
Yeah, I still think Flacco is the front runner for obvious reasons. He knows the offense. He's like, he gets in there and you don't really have a lot to like report about as people watching in the media on the sidelines. Like he's kind of just steady. There's some good throws, there's some bad throws. It's just what you kind of expect from Joe Flacco at this point. But you know, when you line up in between those white lines, he's going to run the offense effectively, or you at least feel confident that he can, and that he's going to be able to operate things the way that they need to be operated, and try to put some points on the board in a pretty proficient way. So I feel good about that. Kenny Pickett, I think we know the organization really likes him and wants him to probably be the guy, I would think. But at the same time, the injury obviously sets him back a little bit here. We know that. I thought he was kind of up and down throughout the days of camp that he had practiced in the first 4 days there. He ended, I think, that Saturday practice with maybe his best day. And then obviously the injury, like I said, is going to kind of hold him back here for a little bit. And I'm interested to see now with these added opportunities, especially these last 3 days. I think Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel both have kind of tried to embrace the extra reps that they've been getting.
Joe Flacco was never supposed to be the headline. He was supposed to be the safety valve, the veteran, the calm in the chaos. But here we are, deep into Brown's training camp, and Flacco's quiet control has become its own kind of controversy. Because behind the scenes, beyond the flashes of steady throws and quiet command, there's a storm brewing. One rookie just changed the tone of this entire quarterback conversation. And no, it's not who the media was hyping last month. It's Shedeur Sanders. And the Browns weren't ready. But what happened next? Nobody saw it coming, not even the critics. Look, Joe Flacco is doing what you'd expect. He knows the offense. He runs it like a professional who's been there before. You don't get fireworks with Joe anymore, but you get something teams crave: consistency. At this point in his career, Flacco is a known quantity. Some days good, some days a little off, but he doesn't rattle. You line him up between the white lines and he gets the job done. Efficient, predictable, reliable. But here's the problem. The NFL doesn't wait for safe. Not in July, and definitely not in Cleveland. Because while Flacco quietly steers the ship, the locker room and maybe even the front office is watching someone else with growing curiosity. The rookie they barely gave a shot, the kid with the name, the chip, and something to prove every single rep. Shedeur Sanders. Now, don't get it twisted. The Browns didn't walk into this camp with Shedeur at the top of their depth chart. He wasn't even close. All eyes were on Kenny Pickett, the guy the organization reportedly wanted to see take the reins. There's just one issue. Kenny can't stay on the field. Injuries have a way of disrupting even the best laid plans. And Pickett's early camp performances were a roller coaster. Sure, he had flashes, especially that final Saturday practice before he went down, but overall, inconsistent. Just when he started to build momentum, his body betrayed him. And in a QB room this deep, that's all it takes. That injury didn't just hurt Pickett, it cracked the door open for the rookies. And guess who ran through it? Dylan Gabriel got his shot first. Quietly, without much fanfare, he began taking more reps. And on Tuesday, he balled out. Yeah, there was an interception late in practice, but everything leading up to that, sharp, crisp, arguably his best day of camp. Timing was better, decision-making cleaner. It looked like the game was slowing down for him. And suddenly, folks on the sidelines started whispering, could Dylan leapfrog? But here's the part that stunned even the veterans. Stay with me. Because while Dylan looked good on Tuesday, Shedeur Sanders did something that changed the entire feel of this camp. He struggled. Yeah, that's right. He had a rough day. But what he did next, that's the kind of thing that turns rookies into leaders. He bounced back. See, that's the thing about Shedeur Sanders. He doesn't shrink. He doesn't pout. Every time he takes a hit, figurative or literal, he answers the next day with force. And on Wednesday, when he got his most important opportunity yet, he stepped up. Spencer German wasn't even at practice that day. He was home with a sick kid. But even he heard the buzz, because Shedeur Sanders lined up against the Browns' first-team defense for the first time. Let this next moment sink in, because it might just define the future of the Browns and Shedeur Sanders himself.
Some things, he had maybe his best day of camp. I thought he looked really good. I thought Shedeur had a little bit of a rougher practice on Tuesday, but I also think like there's been some ups and downs with him, and I think he's always responded pretty well to some of the downs, if you will, where he's come back the next day and looked really good. I know on Wednesday, I missed practice today because I was at home for a sick child, but I know I saw he actually got to go against the first team defense today, so that's an exciting thing, which we've been waiting to sort of see, and I hope he gets more of that, because I think ultimately to judge both those rookies on some level on like the same playing field, we got to see them both go against the ones, and Dylan's got plenty of those reps, but Shedeur hasn't. And then frankly, like, I think the place where Shedeur really has a chance to shine is going to be in the preseason, where he's going to get a ton of reps, and if he puts on a show, he may make it harder for the coaching staff to not give him more of the reps that we're talking about with the first team as we get later and later into camp.
This wasn't a charity snap. It wasn't preseason garbage time. This was the real deal first team defense, and Shedeur held his own now. Here's where it gets dangerous for the veterans, because if Shedeur performs under the lights in preseason and all signs point to him getting major reps, this conversation shifts. Fast. You can bet on it. Flacco might be the safe option. Kenny might be the plan. Gabriel might be the surprise. But Shedeur Sanders might be the future. And don't forget, he's still climbing. The coaching staff hasn't even unleashed him yet, but he's already making noise. He's already winning reps. And if he puts on a show in these next few weeks, it'll be impossible to keep him off the field. Let's talk about the stakes here, because they're bigger than just one roster spot. This quarterback room is a powder keg. Flacco brings the experience, but not the long-term spark. Pickett brings the pedigree, but he's brittle. Gabriel brings the execution, but maybe not the ceiling dot. And then there's Shedeur. He brings the drama, the energy, the upside, the intangibles you can't teach. There's a reason Spencer German says Shedeur's best chance to prove himself is in the preseason. He's not getting as many reps with the ones as Gabriel yet, but if he turns those preseason snaps into touchdowns, if he walks into those games and commands the huddle like a vet, then what? Then you've got a full-blown quarterback crisis in Cleveland. And for once, it's not because no one can play. It's because too many can, but only one can lead. This is where Cleveland made the move that rewrote the entire season. They gave Shedeur his shot. Now he's running with it. And with every snap, every throw, every audible, he's forcing this coaching staff to reevaluate everything they thought they knew. Here's the thing about Shedeur that gets lost in all the noise. He's not just writing his name. He's not coasting on the Deion Sanders effect. This kid works. He learns. He adjusts, and when he falls, he doesn't stay down. That Tuesday practice, rough. That Wednesday practice, statement. And we haven't even seen the full arsenal yet. We're entering the second half of camp now. The games are about to start, and this QB room isn't settled, not even close. You've got a battle on every level. Flacco versus Father Time, Pickett versus his own body, Gabriel versus the odds. Shedeur versus the narrative. This isn't just about depth charts anymore. It's about direction. Where does this franchise want to go? Do they want safe? Do they want the familiar? Or do they want to roll the dice on a kid who might just ignite a city? In the next part of this video, we're going even deeper into how Shedeur Sanders can flip the Browns' future on its head, and why the preseason might be his grand stage. Because as Spencer German said, the time is coming. The lights are about to get brighter. And when they do, only one of these guys is going to shine, because Shedeur Sanders, he's not just participating in training camp anymore, he's disrupting it. Quietly, steadily, and now, undeniably. Let's break this down. Shedeur is finally getting his reps against the first team defense. That moment might not seem big on paper, but to players, coaches, and insiders, that's a flashing red signal. It means the coaching staff wants to see what you're really made of. They don't waste those reps. They test you. And Shedeur passed the test. He didn't light up the scoreboard. He didn't throw 5 touchdowns and 7 on 7 South. What he did was more subtle, but more important. He belonged. That's what shook the room. Because when rookies step in against the ones, most of them flinch. They hesitate. They rush the throws. Misread the safeties, get rattled by pressure. But Shedeur, he stood tall, made the reads, took what the defense gave him, ran the offense. That's what veteran quarterbacks are supposed to do. But here's the twist. Shedeur's doing it as a rookie, and he's doing it after sitting behind Flacco, behind Gabriel, even behind Pickett when healthy. He's had to fight for every single snap. But champions aren't made in comfort. What Shedeur did next proved exactly that. Now let's look at the ripple effect. Joe Flacco's stock hasn't dropped, but it's not climbing either. He's the constant. You know what you get. Solid, dependable, uninspiring. And that's fine for week 1. But if you're building for December, for the playoffs, you need upside. You need someone who can win a game you're not supposed to win. And no one's betting that Flacco is doing that anymore. Then there's Kenny Pickett. He still has time, but this injury, this delay, it's not helping. And let's be honest, even when he was healthy, he was inconsistent. That's not me saying that that's Spencer German. 1 good practice out of 4? That's not enough in this kind of competition. Dylan Gabriel, he's done nothing wrong. In fact, he's looked sharp at times. That Tuesday practice might have been his breakout moment. But here's where narrative takes over. Because Gabriel's ceiling feels limited. He's efficient, not electric. Coaches love that. Fans? Not so much. And that's where Shedeur separates himself. Shedeur Sanders brings something the others don't: electricity. Every time he drops back, there's a pulse in the air, like something unexpected might happen. He brings emotion, swagger, presence. And if he starts matching that energy with execution, it's game over. This is what Veleb official is all about: controversy, conflict, and clarity. So here's the controversial truth. Shedeur Sanders is forcing Cleveland to rethink everything. And if he dominates in preseason, he may go from 4th-string curiosity to legitimate QB1 conversation faster than anyone thought. Here's what's coming: preseason, game reps, extended drives, film, highlights, mistakes, red zone work, pocket, presence, audible reads. All the little things that don't show up in 7-on-7s but make or break NFL careers. And guess who's about to get all of that? Shedeur. You're about to hear the moment that had fans, players, even rivals on their feet. Imagine this. It's the 2nd quarter of the first preseason game. Browns are down by 7. The starters are resting. The camera cuts to Shedeur Sanders jogging onto the field. He takes the huddle. First play action. Throws a dart over the middle for 15 yards. Next play, zone read. Pulls it. Scrambles for 12. Third play, shot down the sideline. Boom. 35-yard gain. Stadium wakes up. Sidelines erupt. You don't think Kevin Stefanski is watching that. You don't think Flacco's watching that. This is where preseason becomes pressure season. Because the more Shedeur performs, the harder it becomes to justify keeping him buried on the depth chart. Let me tell you something about the NFL. It doesn't care about comfort. It cares about winning. It cares about momentum. And momentum is swinging towards Sanders. What we're witnessing isn't just a rookie audition, it's a narrative shift. It's a culture change. Joe Flacco is the past. Kenny Pickett is the maybe. Dylan Gabriel is the middle ground. Shedeur Sanders, he might be the future. The fans feel it. The media is starting to whisper it. And if he delivers in game like he's starting to do in practice, the coaching staff won't be able to ignore it. There's one more thing, something Spencer German said that needs repeating. If Shedeur puts on a show in the preseason, he may make it harder for the coaching staff to not give him more of the reps with the first team. That's not speculation. That's a forecast, a warning, a signpost. Because right now, Shedeur is playing from behind. But he's playing. And every time he gets on the field, he inches closer. This isn't just about talent. It's about timing. It's about story. And Shedeur Sanders, he's writing his story in real time. This is the kind of story that flips locker rooms, that splits media rooms, that builds fan bases. This is where Cleveland has to decide. Do they ride the wave or try to hold it back? Because if Shedeur explodes this preseason, if he delivers just one jaw-dropping drive, one game-winning throw, one did you see that moment, they won't be able to hold him back. They'll have to lean in. And what happens after that? That's the part no one knows yet. But if you're betting on heart, betting on toughness, betting on bounce-back ability, you're betting on Shedeur Sanders. This isn't over. Not even close. So next time you see a Browns preseason game, don't just watch the score. Watch the sidelines. Watch the rotations. Watch who commands the huddle. Because in Cleveland, the most important position is suddenly the most contested one. And Shedeur Sanders, he's not waiting anymore. He's coming for it. Like and subscribe to NFL Daily Dose. And get ready, because the Browns quarterback room just became the most dramatic, most unpredictable, and most electric storyline in the NFL. And Shedeur Sanders, he might be writing the ending.